Okay, I think I hit the video twice, but we're here now. Hey, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Kelly Hoey, author of the book Build Your Dream Network, and I am thrilled today to be here with Helena and Kirsty, founders, or two of the co-founders of The Notable. Hey, ladies, how are things in London today? Or outside of London, or UK-ish, or what?
Surprisingly nice, actually. Yeah.
Send it our way. Send it our way, please. We had a spring teaser in New York City, and then so let's talk about how we met, because it kind of follows advice I put in Build Your Dream Network. You were participating, shout out to the Bright Network, the Bright Network's virtual internship experience. You both, this is where my empathy goes out. You both graduated during the year that was formerly known as 2020 hideousness. I almost think we should not even talk about it, but it doesn't deserve, sort of like Voldemort. Do not. And so you graduated. The world's a bit, well, we'll keep this clean, a bit poop emoji, and you started The Notable. So for those who don't know what The Notable is, tell them what it is.
Yeah, so we obviously say we graduated. There was nothing really to do. So the three of us came together and we're like, well, we've worked together in the past. We all did drama at university together. So we all enjoyed working together. And then, yeah, we were like, obviously, we're sure that we're not the only people who feel this way. There must be so many other people who are in the exact same situation, have graduated and just don't really have anything to do. So we started, and with very much like, oh, we'll see what happens. And then very quickly we were amazed at how many people were willing to be like, yeah, of course, like I'll answer some questions, I'll do this, we'll help out. And we've definitely found like a really great community of other people who are in the same situation, who are just, I suppose, trying to make the best out of a not great situation.
Really big poop emoji. So you started. Okay, let's go back. Where did you both graduate from, and what did you graduate? What degrees did you graduate in? Let's talk to me.
So we both did English literature with drama. So we've done lots of projects together at Oxford Brookes University, and it all sort of ended very abruptly. We were just told uni's closed. We all went home. And we had a final production planned, and then that was all cancelled. So we've both been kind of keeping each other sane since. And when uni work sort of was done, we wanted something else to do, really. Right.
As the three of us have joked about before, you can't master a Netflix at this point. If the pandemic had lasted, 2, 3, 4 months, yeah, maybe lying on the sofa with your feet up would have been okay, but had to go and do something. And I'm just, I want to say your gumption, your determination, you're like, okay, what are we going to do? I mean, literally life handed us rotten lemons. Let's figure out how the heck we make something better with this. Now, the Bright Network, UK-based organization supporting students, they made a massive pivot with their programming. I was originally supposed to do a live event with them in February of 2020. Of course, that went the way of the dinosaur, and ended up being asked by them to do their virtual internship experience. How did you learn about that virtual internship experience? Just sort of generally, what was your takeaway? And maybe Kirsty and Helena, talk about other virtual internships you've done and what are the benefit of those? Because some people could say, oh, what's the point, right? So talk about that.
I think, well, we both done, we did the typical online courses, and obviously some are better than others. But the Bright Network was literally, I think, I just saw someone put it on their story or something like, oh, I'm doing this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll have a look. I don't have anything else to do. And at the time, so the first one I did was the business and marketing one. And again, didn't really have any, didn't really know what it was. But I was like, well, it's something to do for 3 days. And it was a lot more full on than I'd expected. And I think it was very much one of those, you get out what you put in. So I, put aside the 3 days, got up really early, like put proper clothes on, makeup on. And it was really amazing. The people they had speak to us, and the things like the activities and like the whole network inside. And then obviously your talk as well, which I've actually been able to watch twice. I did the business and marketing one in July, and then I did the law one in December. So obviously very, very different. But it was so interesting to, obviously the first talk, I was like, wow, who is this Kelly woman? This is amazing. And then by December, I was like, oh yes, I know what
she is. I know who she is. but that internship, when I was when the Bright Network approached me and said, hey, would you come and do this? And then they realized the time zone, and I'm like, yes, I will get up at 4:30 in the morning or whatever it was. Thank God, and those platforms don't have a smell feature, because you can roll out of bed and look good even if you're still in your pajamas. But the curriculum, and I know you said it was like three full-on days, but the assignments because I guess there was 2 different virtual internships a week over 6 weeks. The assignments were really, I was like, I would fail this. I would not pass this assignment. They were real assignments from big companies, and so it was really, really extraordinary. But you've done other ones, so you did some online courses, but you've done some other sort of virtual experiences. Talk about those.
Yes, I've just finished a 6-week creative direction course at Condé Nast, which again I went into. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I thought, well, if I want to learn about fashion, that's the place to do it, isn't it? And again, it was so so full on, but like just completely, absolutely amazing. So definitely, again, kept me busy for 6 weeks. But it's just, again, this whole year has been really great in the way that it's not like you're at university where you're told this is what we're learning, this is what we're doing. It is a case of like every how many months we can be like, well, actually, I'm quite interested in this. I'm going to learn about this, or I want to explore this. I learn about this. So that last 6-week one was definitely probably one of the best ones that I've done. Because it was so cool.
I think having an accidental gap year has sort of made us experiment with, I did a business and finance one to start with, thinking that, my English degree was very creative and maybe I should do something a little bit more sort of highbrow. And then I realized I just hated that kind of stuff. And I think without this year, I probably wouldn't have known that I hated that kind of stuff. And we just have learned what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, and I think you've hit really an important point, Helena. It's like trying these things and realizing, oh no, it's not that I'm not good at it. It's not that I'm not capable of doing this. Kind of doesn't rock my world, right? And knowing that, yes, my creativity, my writing skills, my ability to, I want to say, decipher, interpret, convey information has a whole lot of different segments of the economy that it could be in, but doing it in this very structured environment, because maybe it's a regulated industry or maybe it's tradition or whatever it is, you're like, yeah, not so much. I need to be somewhere where they're more imaginative. But hey, maybe after the events of the pandemic, more companies will be more imaginative. Okay, the notable. You guys have interviewed me before, so let's just state that. So that's, and because we've, I say, you guys have, damn, you followed my advice. As you followed up. Yeah, you read blogs, you did things, you just didn't leap in, LinkedIn with a, hey, can we connect? You wrote, and thank you, I am very grateful. Helena, you wrote a book review and suggested Build Your Dream Network as the book of the month. So, as I threatened, defend that book review. All right, so tell me, I just talk about your mindset when you were, at miserable Monday where you started reading my book thinking, oh gosh, I got to find a job and I got to network, and yikes.
Well, I think before we kind of virtually met you and read your book, we kind of felt like our life was on hold. You know, we couldn't go out and meet anyone. We couldn't put on our blazer. You know, we just sort of sat at home waiting for everything to start. And when I read your book, I realized actually we already had a network that we could use. You know, we've been to uni, we've been to school, and we can do it from home. Like, we can do it from our laptops. We can meet people over LinkedIn. You know, we've met you. That was sort of a great example. So that was like my key takeaway. It was like, don't start tomorrow, start right now. And also that it's a kind of continuous process. You know, you don't just like meet your group that you work with and then never meet anyone again. It's about always kind of, you know, always talking to people like within your, like say you have a job, you know, talk to people at the top, talk to people at the bottom, talk to people in different departments, because you never know where that can lead.
You never know. See, this is my sort of future security, you know, a good, big, diverse network. And, you know, when you guys are wildly successful, I'll be like, yeah, there's my retirement plan. They remember me. So why do you think people should read? Like, I mean, the book was put out in 2017, and yeah, there's a few things I'd probably make some edits to in my own book. Few, not many, but a few. Why do you think it's still relevant? Why do you think, you know, recent grads should read the darn thing?
I think because you set out such a simple kind of recipe, and it can be applied to anything. It could be applied to anyone, anywhere. It's about, you know, finding what you're good at, finding people who can help you, and having a goal. I think that's something that we hadn't thought about before with networking. You know, don't just go out and meet people. Think, okay, what do I want? How am I going to get there? Who can help me?
I would say that kind of goal focus can sound a little bit Machiavellian for people, but I always find it's a way to not waste other people's time.
Yeah.
You know, to understand why you want to talk to them, as opposed to, hey, your career looks interesting. Oh, look, I found all the comments. This is so fun. Look, let's show this. Hello, Abigail. Lovely to meet you. There we go. Marilyn, lovely that you are here. Shout out to StreamYard. Love this platform. There. Bishoy, lovely to meet you from Egypt. I love that. Love that you're putting where you're from. This is awesome. And greetings. Hello, Peru. This is fantastic. Love all of this. There was another good morning from Makerel Grove. Hello, Mary Blue Middleton. Mary Blue. I love that. What a gorgeous name. That's like fantastic. Oh, and here's our good friend, my good friend, Neil Wainwright, Toronto, Ontario. And it's not just because he's Canadian. Neil has a wonderful app called Up Habit, which is a really great way of organizing contacts, and all the rest of it was attending you know what? You're going to try everything. And Neil, you know, you and I, you know, I'm going to say, back in the day when you and I were, you know, in university and all the rest of it. Hello, Germany. This is like lovely. So anyone else who is there, like, tell us where you are, and thank you for participating. This is like so much fun. Okay, let's jump in. I'm sure my book didn't answer everything. Shocker. Spoiler alert. What kind of questions do you have? Like, talk there. Oh, wait. Hello, Newton. Lovely to see you, and all these people who are watching and saying where they're watching from. If you've got a question, pop it on in the chat, and we'll talk about it. So I love that you said that, you know, Build Your Dream Network has a recipe. It's got roadmaps. It's not just my networking story. There was definitely patterns when people were either changing jobs, working up the corporate ladder, in their own company, switching industries, landing a job when they didn't have one, building a business, that I sort of saw the patterns and tried to lay that out for people. What kind of, I'm sure you, as I said, I'm sure you've got questions. Lay it on me, ladies. Lay it on me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, firstly, this is amazing that there's so many people from all over the world. That's just, Poland, that's just incredible. And I think that's, again, to go back to the kind of, I don't want to say like good parts of the pandemic, but we would never normally have been able to speak to people from all over the world. So that's just incredible. But yeah, I do have some questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
One of the first ones, which kind of applies to the book and to things we've been doing as well, but how do you keep someone in your network if, say, it's someone that we've met, or in terms of it's something Hannah and I have done, if we've interviewed someone who we think is just amazing, got a great career, how do we keep them in our network if we don't necessarily have something to talk to them about now, but maybe in like a few months' time, we might want to give them a call and be like, do you remember me?
I mean, this is the beauty of, I want to say, the world we live in, and I would have said this before 2020, and the world that you were, I want to say, brought up in, with, you know, everyone leaving little bits of their lives on the internet. So you're able to keep people in your periphery. You're able to watch and see what they're up to. And you're either able to amplify, contribute to, or just comment on, you know, in the sense of, this is like sort of the good stalking on the internet kind of thing. Like, watch and listen and observe what other people are up to, because it will reveal what's important to them. It will show what's going on in their lives, and your ability to reach out when you see, hey, they got a promotion. I mean, don't, like, I want to say, undervalue those little outreach where you say, wow, I just saw on the news that you know, got that great promotion. You don't need to tell them that you had a Google alert sent on them, because that might sound a little creepy, but, right? Or as a friend of mine said, you know, there's a reason we put out information in a blog. There's a reason we do that. And it's not for someone to say, oh, you wrote a blog, what did it say? We put it there so you read this stuff. And when you read this information, it might unearth and reveal, right, a conversation starter. And to be able to say to someone some months from now, I've been watching everything that you've been up to, and I remember in our conversation we talked about this, and I had a follow-up question. I mean, people are going to remember that.
Yeah.
You know, and in some way, it's the dynamic we've had that's now led to, you know, this mentoring relationship that's a mutual flow of mentorship that the three of us have. So that's what I would do. Keep people in your periphery, make it a point. It might be one of those things that, excuse me, you kind of mark on your calendar every day to say, all right, I'm going to make some time to think about who are the people. I'll review my calendar. You know, shout out to Neil Wainwright. I'll use, you know, a platform like UpHabit or something else. Maybe you're a spreadsheet person, and I will go back and look over people who have given me informational interviews, people who have, you know, I've been part of an internship with, and I'll just kind of go over that list and see, all right, oh, I haven't seen them post anything in a while. Let me skulk around and see what they're up to, and just find ways to, you know, like I said, their posting and activity should give you some ideas.
Yeah, I feel like I've started to realize this, that networking well is a little bit like stalking.
But in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah, it's sort of like you need to be curious about other people. And the fact is, spoiler, shocker, whatever alert, people like to talk about themselves. And when they don't want to talk about themselves, like if they're not posting, they're not doing things, that's when you can take a big step back and say, what does this tell me about this person? Are they private? Are they security concerned? All right. You know, maybe they don't want to talk about the person, that they only talk about work. Great. I will approach them on work-related questions. So you kind of need to be, I don't know, Inspector Gadget or Agatha Christie and kind of unpack what the data tells you.
Yeah. Because I think I was always concerned that if I did that, the person would be like, that's so creepy that you know that. But I think at the end of the day, like, it shows as well that, okay, they've actually taken the time, they don't need to know how much time, to do a little bit of research to actually find out what that person's interested in.
Right, or you've gotten the backstory to say, I've reviewed your bio. I remember once, and it was I reached out to the program director at the YWCA of New York City, and I made a comment, and I said, listen, I read your website, and I was wondering about, and they stopped and were like, you read our website? And I was like, well, why'd you have one? Isn't if not? And I guess no one does. And so this is where you can say, I read your bio on your, firm's website, and it talked about this. So I did hyperlink to, read the article you hyperlinked to. And in that you said this. I wonder if you could expand upon that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where people are like, whoa, they actually did their homework rather than, hey, could you tell me about your career? I've had that question. You can see the face. I do not win an Academy Award for poker face on anything anymore for that one. There's some more people we should say hi to. Hello, Mohammed in Nigeria. Wonderful to meet you. Agree with this. Genuine interest in the other is a superpower. You know what? And it's not one of those things you're innately born with. We can all learn this one, all the rest of it. Hello, India. Lovely to have you here. And in Helsinki, how awesome is that? And let me see. Exactly. Hey, Todd. Exactly. There's a lot of this in terms of the way I look at networking, which to me is about marketing and personal branding as well. Are you the type of person other people want to invest their time, energy, and resources in? All right. We still have, we've got about just under 10 more minutes, because we like to keep this Build Your Dream Network virtual water cooler as if we're like goofing off from our cubicles, having a little coffee or tea. So before we get caught and have to go back to the cubicle, talk to me. What other questions do you have?
Helena, I'll let you go so you can ask one of yours.
If you are phoning someone up and you're asking for work experience, or you're asking anything really, how do you come across as interested without sounding either completely clueless or really arrogant? How do you sort of...
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing not to do, and this was an actual email sent to my friend Monica Parker at Hatch Analytics. Someone sent an email saying, I'm looking for something, and I'm looking. Your company looks interesting. It looks like there's some interesting opportunities, but maybe you could tell me if there are any opportunities, and maybe we could meet for coffee, and you could tell me if there was any opportunities. But first of all, they were doing a spray and pray approach to anyone who they thought perhaps could be hiring. To suggest meeting face-to-face for coffee in the middle of a pandemic, it just shows ferocious lack of judgment. What I would suggest in terms of ways to think about how do you approach people when you're looking for information, and to see maybe you're just doing an informational interview and you hope it turns into something. I'm going to borrow from my friend Evan Nisselson, another one of the case studies in the book. It's his case study towards the back, not the one towards the front. And in that, he was doing an informational interview. And the first thing off the bat, just the thing that would drive a stake in your heart of whether there was any opportunity, the person he was talking to said, I'm not hiring. I'm happy to talk to you, but I'm not hiring. And that could totally deflate you. And Evan looked at the person and said, I understand that. But if you were hiring, what would you hire for? If you were in a position to hire someone, what would you hire for? What would be the role? And then let them spill the beans and take as many mental notes as you can. And then go into she said, well, and the reason, thank you for that information, but here's the reason I wanted to talk to you today. I wanted to talk to you about, maybe additional courses I should take, whatever other reason you were wanting to talk to get information, and the reason you were kind of given that informational interview. And then, like Evan, you sit back after this is over. Well, first of all, you thank the person for the informational interview. If they gave you some tips on courses or books or whatever, you let them know when you've ever taken the course or read the book or done whatever, or other ways to kind of follow up and stay in touch. But that information to that really critical question of if you were hiring, like sit and mull on it, like a good hard toffee, right? Like just mull on it. And that's what Evan did. And as I lay out in the book, he sat on it, and then he's like, I know what to do now. The guy gave me, or the woman gave me, the job description. I'm going to do a sample of that work and I'm going to send it to them. And that's what Evan did. Boom. Landed a job that previously didn't exist from a guy who wasn't hiring.
One of my questions was actually specifically about that part of the book.
Okay, dive in.
No, I would literally, because I loved the way that they had just been like, okay, it's not a job. What can I do? Like this is what I've done in the meantime. But I was going to ask, like, where do you? Obviously, they really, really wanted to work with this person, and that they ended up getting the job. But where is the line between being like, right, I will not stop until I get this job, and being like, okay, it's obviously not working, I should try something else. Like, should you stop and try something else, or should you literally keep going until you get the job?
Listen, people may say no, but also too, Evan was so passionate about photography, and he so wanted to. I'm going to say it was almost like the itch you have to scratch, right? Like when I think about when I think about writing Build Your Dream Network, I never, it was never one of my career bucket lists at your age to say, oh, and in my career, I want to write a book, right? The exercise we've done together in our Networks Women Need, that mastermind group that you guys are participating in. I have never, if I did that exercise at your age and said, what's my big goal headline in the future? Being a published author would never have hit the horizon. It would never have. But once I had that burning desire, I was like, I have to try this. So, you think about all the steps to kind of get you there. Evan sitting there frustrated, could have said, well, there's not hiring and nobody else is going to hire me because I don't have experience. And this was a warm introduction from someone and it's my best chance with no experience of landing a job and it's never going to happen. And he could have just flushed that dream. Instead, he's like, okay, maybe there's a way of convincing this guy, right? And so for myself, it was like, okay, I've got this desire. I'm not going to just sit here with it. I'm going to talk to some friends about it. And then I'll talk to friends of friends. And then I'll talk to friends of friends. And, you take each step and you hope it results in the outcome. But the process of networking it is a good exercise in of itself. How committed are you? How determined? Is it another way to satisfy this? Is in that effort, do you meet other people who say, wow, this person's got the attributes of someone I want to work with or support. So there's a lot. And then I think the other, the key study I would kind of mash in with this is Jessica Peltz. And lucky, I'm going to say we're doing a Build Your Dream Network virtual water cooler with Jessica on Thursday of this week. But her case study is another one in terms of how you can craft a cold email outreach. I mean, Evan had a warm introduction to a stranger. Jessica was doing cold email outreach in an industry that she wanted to break into. And today, her that recipe for how you inform yourself before you reach out is bar none the best out there. So that's the other one I would mash those two together.
Yeah. Hannah, do you want to ask one of you?
Wait, we have a few more people. Hello, Amal. Lovely to meet you. Germana, Venezuela. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Miriam, Manchester. Yay. There we go. Let me think. If we've got anyone else? And Atif in London. Yahoo. This is thank you, Sasha, for the compliment. Love this. And of course, keep going to the door slammed in your face. Persistence with, you know what? I so agree, Neil. There's an element of send the communicate, as I like to say, send the communication you'd be happy to receive. But when some people will be just enough, no. And then you're like, okay, fine. Now, but at some point you may still circle around to say, I really appreciate that no, here's what I did with your no. And this is where I am now. And thank you so much for, like getting me to move on and not keep hammering on your door. There was a law firm years ago, shout out to Stikeman Elliott, that I turned them down for an offer, but we kept it was like all polite and nice. So that when I was looking to change firms a few years later, they took the meeting. They were like, we're happy to talk to you. So, all right, what other questions? Because there is actually some questions that have come in, what other questions do you guys have? We'll go a few more. We're going to hang at the water cooler a little longer. Don't tell the boss.
I love in your book you have a list of questions that we should ask ourselves before signing up to something, because it can be really easy just to like put your name everywhere and then be like, what else do you suggest we do not to try and not feel kind of overwhelmed by all the opportunities out there and sort of streamline to what it is we want?
Well, I mean, there's always an element of being open and being curious, which is always good. I think giving yourself permission to try things, and then when you're like, yeah, not for me, whether it's an online event or an in-person event, when we think, oh God, this event is 2 hours and I have to stay and I don't want to be here because I've determined in 10 minutes that it sucks and it's not for me, give yourself permission to leave. Right? If you went there, if you go to an event or attend something to get some information and you realize you had it all wrong, bye-bye, leave politely, like no problem. But this is also where like create that filter, and your filter, your why filter, as I talk about it in Build Your Dream Network, your why filter would change, right? And so to be able to say, why am I pursuing this? Does it fit within my goals? But if it, okay, maybe my filter needs to change, or maybe this is outside of the box. Like, why am I doing this? When someone suggests to you, hey, Helena, you should attend this, that's when you take a big deep breath and you say, tell me more. Why do you think what made you think that I would be interested in this event? And you're not saying it in a hostile way. You're just like, inquiry, because then you may say, oh, but it deals with, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going into banking and finance. Why did you think I was going into banking? Oh, yes, well, I did that virtual internship with the Bright Network to see if I was interested in that. See, if someone sends you the wrong things, it's a chance for you to set the course straight with them. So they send you better opportunities or whatever else. But really, like, create that why filter and like review it and say, right, is this the right thing? Do I want to do this? Like, why is this interesting to me? And give yourself permission to, backpedal and step out of things. Does that help?
That's really helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What is this? Let me see if there's, there we go. Henry, wonderful question. You were to find a company that suits you and right to work at. Hey, first off, this is where, platforms, Henry, like LinkedIn are so important. It enables you to find out more about the company. It enables you to find out whether or not there's people you already know who are at that company. Having just now read I want to say an advanced draft and written the forward to a book on alumni, this is where alumni networks are really critical. Go and find alums at that company so you can talk to them rather than just leaping. Try and find a warm way in before you just go to the cold. If you're reaching out cold, again, Jessica Peltz's case study in Build Your Dream Network, I can't recommend. I will keep recommending. I will hit people over the head with my book to read that case study. It's like, yeah, this is always a good one. How would you say about the awkward moment? You didn't speak to that person for a long time, but now you have to call them up and ask the favor. This is such a good question. This is when you need to look in the mirror, take a hard look in the mirror and say, was I a decent human being to that person in the past that they would want to take my call today? This is why, and I, Helena mentioned this at the beginning of our conversation. This is why you need to rethink networking. If you think it's just a one and done, as opposed to how do I show up every day for my colleagues, for my friends, for acquaintances, that they would want to turn around and help me in the future. I've talked about an experience I had, outreach from 2 former colleagues, same amount of time I hadn't talked to them. The one of, hey, what are you up to? you know, shocker. It was from the person who was always a jerk to work with. The one that was the long, detailed, oh my God, I've been watching what you're doing. This is, you know, amazing. And not that you need to like blow smoke up someone's, you know what, but, you know, actually showing that you've paid attention and then making the intersection to what she was doing at this point in her life. And then saying, hey, here's my question for you. Didn't matter that it had been 8 years. It was like a very caring, considerate communication from someone who had been caring and I want to say generous and kind when I had worked with them. And we didn't work hand in glove. We worked in a very large law firm and saw each other intermittently. So this is where I'm like, don't worry about the lapse of time. Worry about whether or not you were a decent human being when you worked together. So there we go. Todd, time to go. And yeah, it's time for us to exit the water cooler because we've been goofing off for a long time. Let's just say hi. Hello. Lovely to meet you. Oleinka. Hopefully I got that right, or maybe I've just completely botched it and now it's on video and I'm embarrassed. But thank you for checking in from Lagos. That's wonderful. There we go. Dominican Republic checking in. This is fabulous. Clearly our conversations hit a nerve and you guys probably have more questions or you can make some up in the future. Can you come back and do this again with me?
Yeah, definitely. I every time you talk, I'm like, okay, I have more questions now.
Maybe we can crowdsource some questions through the Notable and we can do this again. And as I've already mentioned, I'll be back doing this on Thursday for those watching this live with Jessica Peltz, who case study in Build Your Dream Network and her roadmap from, I'm going to say, a business student looking for a job post 9/11 on, you know, Mad Madison Avenue, who's now a venture capitalist and raising a fund, first close on her first venture fund after working in institutional VC and as an angel investor. I'm going to have a fun conversation with her. So hope everyone will check in on Thursday. And the three of us will plan another event as well. And that is all good. This is like, thanks. One of you mind sharing a post with a screenshot. This video will be living on my LinkedIn profile. I don't know what you're looking for a screenshot of, but let me reach up. If you're looking for this, there's my book. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. We'll move it around so I can pretend I know where the camera is. Awesome stuff. Come on, you guys have known me for long enough now that I've got a bit of a sense of humor in terms of all of this stuff. You have to at my age, otherwise it's just ridiculous. All right, this has been beyond fun. I'm going to end the broadcast for everybody. And if you like what you watched and heard, you know, leave some comments on LinkedIn or YouTube or over on Twitter, because it's there as well. And look for more Build Your Dream Network virtual water coolers with other guests. And of course, when the team from, or 2/3 of the team from the Notable come back and join me again. Thank you so much, ladies. It has been a pleasure and privilege as always.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us on.
Always good to see you. All right. We'll see you soon.